Tonight, we're doing it for the culture. Is your culture toxic? We're going to find out. And we're going to give you some solutions on how to fix it. Let's go. Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Not Safe for Sunday podcast. I'm doing it with the boys tonight. We're back. We're all back. Spencer, you're back in the building. What's up, dude? Welcome back.
I'm back.
Claptrack.
Freshly braided.
Yeah, it looks really
back
fresh.
and better than ever, dude. Give that camera a whirl.
Give it a whirl. Give us a spin.
Yeah, there it is.
Give us
That's
a
Rebecca. She braided it for me.
The people got to replace. Shout out to Rebecca. Shout out Rebecca.
All right, shout out
Sponsor
Rebecca.
the pod.
Sponsor the pod, Rebecca.
Hairstylist of the pod.
I'm going to get mine next.
Yeah.
Oh,
my God, dude. Next episode, I want you to come in braided.
Very Bronson Arroyo of me. That's a throwback.
Yeah, that is a baseball throwback
That's
reference
a
right
throwback.
there. Daniel has no idea.
No
what you're
idea.
talking
I'm smiling and waving, boys.
That's a good baseball name.
about. Johnny nodded right away.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Everybody
Daniel.
seemed in the know, and I'm like, sure.
Spencer,
Hey, it's about time it's not me.
Spencer, you remember Bronson Arroyo?
Oh, yeah, man. 2004, the comeback.
Attaboy.
Come on now.
Attaboy. That's my guy.
He was a pitcher for the Red Sox, Daniel, back in the glory days of World Championships.
Yes.
So.
Very white. Very white.
Very
Got the
white.
braids, though.
I like it. I like
Had
it.
the braids going.
Was he? Yeah, there must have been a Hispanic
Yeah,
flair
no,
to
he-
that.
Yeah, but he didn't look it, though.
He didn't look it,
that
but he
was the
was.
thing,
Yeah.
Is it because of Arroyo? Is that?
Well, I would.
Nah, I was just like your normal traditional white boy ain't getting braids. Like, let's be real. Like, typically has a little bit more of a Hispanic flair to it, I guess.
I think you went off the last name. I think that's what happened.
I didn't even hear the guy's name.
pretty sure.
Like,
Kid gave the name. Oh, yeah, he gave. He said, yeah.
Still a little different between Arroyo and Rogers. You know.
Depends on what depends on what part of the country you live in, I think.
Maybe.
Oh, man. You guys catch the Super Bowl?
I kind of paid attention to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was probably one of the boringest games ever, just because Philly dominated so much.
Dominated. It was almost. Was it a scoreless first quarter?
First half, pretty much.
Yeah,
For the Chiefs,
For
they
the
didn't
Chiefs,
score
yeah.
till like.
No. I mean, for the entirety of the game.
I think Eagles scored in the first quarter,
No,
didn't they?
Yeah.
They by half, they were like, I think 36.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just ugly.
I know it was like the first 10 minutes of that game. I don't think anybody had scored. It was like back.
It took a
and
little
forth.
bit. But yeah.
I didn't know who was in the Super Bowl till yesterday afternoon.
That's not true.
I swear to God.
That can't be true.
I'll tell you right now.
Where have you been? Where you been?
Non-existent.
Well, it's good. Is it the baby? The baby just keeping you cooped up?
I couldn't care less.
He's not really a sports guy.
Yeah.
I used to be into it. I used to do fantasy. I was like big into it, but then I was like, I don't even know. I feel like it was.
I started kneeling for the anthem when you lost it.
No doubt.
The 2020 days, dude.
Cancel that subscription immediately.
Listen, I wore my honorary braids. Okay, I stood and I knelt. I stood for justice. I knelt for freedom.
I can't believe what's happening here. I'm never watching another game. Oh, my Lord.
I think the timelines light up though.
It was a subconscious thing.
Maybe, who knows?
Something
have to
deep down
evaluate.
inside just told him, yeah, no. this
Anybody
ain't
else
for me.
getting hot? I don't know.
Oh, man. Did you you make anything? You cook anything?
No,
Nah.
My daughter was working, so she wasn't home. Johnny was
Mhm.
hanging out with friends, so it was just me and the wife, and just
Yeah.
it was just it was on, but honestly, I was kind of just half paying attention because it was so
Yeah.
boring. I liked honestly. I'm not trying to go old white guy, but I actually thought the pregame was the best part of the whole
What do you
thing.
mean, listen to those guys talk about the
No,
game?
no. The sorry, let me explain. The entertainers, the performers
Oh.
who did pregame. I thought Harry Connick Jr. Big fan of Harry Connick Jr. And he should have done the halftime show. It would have been 1,000 times better. All right, we'll just put this out
we're
right
already
now.
getting there, we're
Yeah, we'll
already
already.
getting there.
We'll just go right to the
Wow.
halftime show. We have to. Harry Connick Jr. is one of the greatest talents. Him and a big band would have entertained the people way more than some dude
Big band.
mumbling.
Big band.
Some dude.
Some dude mumbling.
Oh my goodness.
Some dude mumbling into the mic and being followed around by a camera.
First of all, that might have been the oldest thing that you've ever said since mint chocolate chip ice cream. Like you.
But you know what's funny is that I've been a Harry Connick Jr. fan since middle school. I have loved that dude.
Back in the 20s, dude.
Yeah,
Can you believe that?
The Roaring 20s.
Big band.
He's not even.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime guy.
That dude's not even that old. He really isn't. He's not even that old. But anyway,
Would you consider yourself old?
No.
Okay,
And
that's why.
So
so
he's
between
old.
him and then you had a beautiful rendition of America the Beautiful, and then
Lauren Daigle, right?
Lauren Daigle, and then even the Star Spangled Banner. I don't know the artist's name.
John Baptiste, right? Is that
Okay.
his name?
Yeah.
Great,
Baptiste.
but it was a great rendition. You know, definitely with the flair of New Orleans
Yeah, for
and the
sure.
musical style, which is, you know, the jazz capital of
Yeah.
the world.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
No, he owned it. A lot of his chords were very flavorful. I appreciated it musically. I
So
really,
as
I really
a
did.
music aficionado, I thought the pregame was the best part.
You would consider
of
yourself
it.
a music aficionado.
The game was, I mean, horrendous, especially because I can't stand Philadelphia. So I'm just gonna tick off everybody, you know, right off the bat. See, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I mean, I'll even call out some Eagles fans right now if I have to. Maybe it'll drive engagement, but Eagles fans are the most obnoxious.
Oh my!
Philadelphia fans in general are the most obnoxious
You almost stopped
fans
short in saying Eagles fans.
on the planet, and that I don't think it is even going to offend anybody because they know it.
Well, have you seen the city they come from, dude? Philly is trash.
Well, it's
Philly is
Wow,
garbage.
okay, I wasn't going to go there, but
I'm going there, dude. Philly, by far, one of the worst places I've ever seen in America. I've been to a lot of different places in America. I saw human crap on the sidewalk.
Well, hold
when
on,
I went
hold
to
on,
Philly.
hold on.
Philly's just it's garbage.
There's this person that continuously poops on the stairs at the post office, so I see human crap at least once a week.
So New Bedford takes second place, dude.
you probably see that in quite a few cities in our day and age. So I mean,
We got a serial pooper.
Dude, it smelled so bad. Everything, like it was dirty. It was so many homeless. It was just like the city was rampant with just chaos.
It's the city
Was
of
that?
brotherly love.
Gotham City.
Gotham's, yeah, dude.
Oh,
It basically
Gotham
was.
City.
They need
Oh,
a Batman.
man.
yeah. Well, I don't know if that has anything to do with the fan base, but they've always been
It's like,
just super obnoxious.
I mean, I think that's like the pop culture thing is like every time that Philly's in a championship, they got to grease up the light poles and like they know they're gonna burn down the city.
absolutely. The city's gonna be destroyed.
No matter what happens.
Look, I gotta take a stand.
Uh
Oh,
oh.
okay.
Uh-oh.
Now, I don't have a dog in the fight per se.
Get on that
I'm not
mic.
a-
Get on that mic,
I'm
Spence.
not an Eagles fan, except for yesterday I was. But man, Questlove, Boys to Men, Philadelphia cream cheese. I mean,
Philadelphia cream cheese.
That's the big three.
Your beef is with him because I didn't diss the whole city like
Yeah,
he
that-
did. It's the fans. I have a problem with the fans. I've been to Philly. I've run the Rocky Steps. I've gotten the cheese dogs.
Rocky, I didn't even think about Rocky.
Yeah, no,
Come on, Daniel.
no.
No, the
This,
city's
your
garbage.
fight's with Daniel.
No,
all right?
the city's
'Cause
garbage. I stick by it.
I'm straight up anti-fans and Eagles.
I stand by. I mean, I can get down with cream cheese.
We
that's
haven't even brought up the
fine.
Philly cheese steak. It is a whole thing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a massive disappointment. Have you been to Philly?
No.
Have you had the cheesesteaks
No.
there?
Yeah.
Way worse. Like I'd rather have a cheesesteak anywhere else in America than actually Philly.
Not up to the hype, but still good though. You can't. It wasn't
Awful.
Wasn't
That was
bad.
the worst steak and cheese I've ever had in
Really?
my life. Was that? I think
Which
it's
one did
Geno's.
you go to?
I
Yeah,
think I went to
it's
Geno's.
There's dueling. There's
I think
dueling
I went
trucks.
to Geno's. It was Geno's and what's the other one?
I can't remember. the
Listen,
name of it,
God,
but-
see,
Listen,
you guys
the-
need a computer.
Put
back
up on the
there.
board, guys.
Yeah.
The Philly-
You're gonna go to Papa Gino's when you got this.
You got the Papa G. You got the Papa steak.
the Papa steak.
The Papa steak. Listen, the Philly cheesesteak walked, so Jimmy's Pizza's cheesesteak can run.
Yeah, exactly. That's-
You know what I
like-
mean?
Yeah, no, it was. I have a problem with Philly. I'll stick by it, Spence. I admire you still, but
Did they burn down the city?
Yeah, they did.
yeah.
They did some damage.
Johnny, no hesitation.
Every year. Every time.
Oh, he said, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Without fail.
the worst." Yeah, probably the worst fans like across the entire country, right? Any sport, like you said, any sport. Doesn't matter what it is. And the 76ers, they just haven't been good in a long time. So it's basically mostly baseball and football.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I mean, and most of Kansas City's fans are just Taylor Swifters. So Swifties.
Taylor Swifters.
Taylor Swifters.
She got
The
booed.
Swifties. She did get booed,
Yeah,
dude.
what-
Did you see that moment?
I would say it's about time.
That she got booed?
Yeah,
What did
yeah.
Taylor do to anybody?
President Trump got the applause and everything.
What was it?
Said President Trump got the applause and she got the booze.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's just
Big
about
moments,
Versus
big
making
moments.
itself ready.
Yeah, I mean, when you're just like the biggest thing in the whole world and you're charging, like what, $2,000 a ticket for your tour, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's just all about just, you just 1,000,000% love all the time everywhere you go. I mean, you got to get booed sometime.
Good.
Back-
It
get
takes
back
a little bit of
Get
humbling.
taken down a peg a
Back
little.
down
Did
to
you
earth.
see her face? Like, she was genuinely shocked. It was like the first time she was ever booed in her life. She was. I think she even mumbled. What they did.
Lip reading thing?
Lip reading, and they one of the lip people who reads lips. They're like, she said, "What's going on?" Because she genuinely
never
had no
experienced
idea
that.
what was going on.
What is that sound?
What is that sound?
What are they saying?
Ooh,
Those
that's
are,
not my name.
are they saying smooth? What are they saying? What is that sound those people are making? I've
I
never
know.
heard that before.
Yeah, so she was just taken back.
Yeah, see, I missed all that because I was just there to watch football. So
I didn't watch any of it. I'm just catching up the day later, dude. I did not watch anything yesterday.
Really?
Again, no idea who was in it. Didn't watch it. Just catching up. I'm playing catch up today.
Well, so Philly smoked the Chiefs. Smoked them. What was the final score? 40-12.
20. I think it was 22.
Oh, yeah, smoked them.
Still pretty.
I fell asleep.
A
It was-
Super Bowl where there's 40 points. I feel like that's.
But
that's already-
they scored 34 before Chiefs scored once,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
Oh
it was
my
it wasn't
gosh.
even close.
was
It
rough.
wasn't 40-22 is a gift.
It was rough. Speaking about taking people down a peg, I was nice to see Patrick Mahomes getting taken down a peg, especially with Tom Brady doing the announcing. I was like,
Oh, he
ooh,
must have been loving it.
Ooh, this is so
He
good.
must have been loving it.
I loved that Tom just called everybody by their first name. It was very different than what normal announcers do, and they'll call him by their last name. He's like, I got a personal relationship with this guy.
I like
That's
it.
Patrick.
I like it.
Patrick's feet in the pocket. He doesn't look comfortable in there. I'm like,
I like
this
it.
is kind of strange, but it was nice.
But
to
deep down though, he was loving it. The
Oh,
fact that
yeah.
his GOAT
Oh,
status
yeah.
is protected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never
He
gonna
brought
blow
up
out
the
this.
Falcons comeback a few times.
Oh yeah. That the Falcons comeback I've dropped a couple times.
Oh yeah,
Oh, it did.
yeah, that's good stuff. It needs to get dropped. More people need to know what happened that day. That was the best game. I remember after that game, when we won that game, I tore off my shirt and ran around the neighborhood. I did a whole. I was living on Main Street in Fairhaven. I did a whole lap around the
Oh,
neighborhood
my
with my
gosh.
shirt just around my head, going crazy.
As a non-Patriots fan, I actually humbled Patriots fans that game because that was at a time where we used to get together with your cousin, big Super Bowl party,
Mm-hmm.
in Fall River. Johnny would go hang out with his boys, and at half, was that when it was 28-3 at halftime?
yeah.
Yep.
And every Patriots fan was like, "Oh, well, this sucks. Game's over." And I was like, "No, it's not."
Get the goat.
I'm like, "You got Tom Brady," and I'm not even a Patriots fan. I would always root against the Patriots just out of spite. And I'd be the only one in that room being like, "You guys are crazy. This game is not over. It's Tom Brady. It's the Patriots. You know they're gonna at least make it a game. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing. What happened? They won.
Sure enough.
That catch, that
Edelman catch?
Edelman catch, dude. As soon as that next day, I was buying a picture. I had to buy a picture to put on the wall. That catch, dude. That catch was wild.
This was a huge moment.
It really was. But yeah, so I was glad that Tom Brady's legacy stayed unscathed for
Untarnished.
right now.
Yeah, it's-
Untarnished. Yeah, good word.
He's still got some rings on him.
All right, well, let's talk halftime show.
Man.
What'd you guys think?
I was not a fan. I watched it this morning. I watched it with Madison. We sat down together and we
Okay.
watched it.
Friend of the pod?
Friend of the pod, Madison. She
Who's
she,
that?
One of
I
your
don't know.
tenants, correct?
She woke up, yeah, one of the halfway house tenants. She
Okay.
woke up and she was saying how good it was. And come to find out, she didn't even watch it. She just saw a clip, and it was the clip of Kendrick dissing Drake,
Oh,
which,
yeah.
which is apparently is a huge moment. She had to educate me on all the lore. I had no idea. I sounded like such a fraud talking to you before, Spence, about this because I genuinely had no idea about any of this.
It's like,
Until
oh
about-
yeah, the Drake
Until
beef?
about 10 hours ago, dude. Now I'm fully caught up. So
Oh.
Madison ran me through all the lore of what the diss tracks are and why Serena Williams was there and how it's an ex of Drake. And I'm like, I'm watching it as a complete abject bystander. I don't know Kendrick Lamar. I've heard of him because I was a teacher and the kids loved him.
Yeah.
But I don't know any of this lore. I'm just watching this dude. And abjectly speaking, I thought it was very boring. There wasn't a lot. Production-wise, like produced on the TV screen, I feel like there wasn't a lot of great cuts. There wasn't a lot of like color. Like even the lights just didn't. Lights, all of it. I feel like there wasn't the set design was kind of just, everything was like, all the lights were white. The stage was gray. Like there just was not a lot going on. I don't know. I felt like it was dull, lackluster.
I 1,000% agree. And I probably know more Kendrick Lamar than you do.
Yeah,
but admittedly, I don't know a lot for sure. I know that he has a beef with Drake, and I know that got played out. And was Not Like Us, is that one of the diss songs?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Not Like Us? You know, that was a diss song. They saved that kind of for the end. But the Super Bowl brings in, you know, I don't know, however many hundreds of millions of viewers every year. And to me, it's like, I think you'd want to go a little bit more broad for an audience, you know, and definitely capitalize more on entertainment value than artist. Because without hard data, I would say that a huge percentage of the viewers probably aren't too familiar with Kendrick Lamar. And if he was like dynamic and blew you away with his you know, production quality and all that, I would say, hey, he's swinging a home run there. But like, yeah, I think it was kind of boring, to be honest with you. I think ever since the halftime show with The Weeknd, they started doing like this thing where it's just all these tight shots following around the artist. So you don't even have really a great scope of like what's going on. You know, you don't have like a really great view of being in the stadium, because it seems like they're just producing it solely for TV.
Yeah.
And as the viewer, you know, just following a guy around who honestly just kind of like sounds like he's mumbling when he raps, and that's not a diss on him. That's just how it comes across.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't entertaining at all. I would have to be a fan of Kendrick Lamar to appreciate that.
Yeah, my favorite was Mace Windu. That was it.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, dude.
Stop this.
Mace Windu. Mace
Stop
Windu
it.
casted as Uncle Sam.
If he came out as Mace Windu, maybe it would have helped.
Mace Windu as Uncle Sam was top tier.
Stop this. Respect. Put a little respect on Samuel L. Jackson's name. Mace Windu? That's like his worst role. That's like his worst role ever. And he said Mace Windu. Good Lord. Good Lord. I will say, if you are not a Kendrick Lamar fan, that 100%, I think everything went over your head. You didn't really understand what was going on. And I think if you are or were a Kendrick Lamar fan going into that
you
Super
probably
Bowl
loved
halftime show, you were locked in. You were like, this is like top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was big brain. This was a big brain move by Kendrick Lamar. I liked The Weeknd, like that was probably like one of my favorite Super Bowl halftime shows. I didn't even know who The Weeknd was really before that halftime show, and like that made me a fan of his. If you weren't already a fan of Kendrick Lamar, I don't think this halftime show made you a fan.
No,
of his.
not at all.
I don't think so.
Like I have no desire to go listen to him. I mean, The Weeknd, at least I could appreciate, like, you know, his voice, or like, you know, I could appreciate at least some of the musical aspect of it. Like I feel like and I just feel this in general. It's hard when somebody hits play on a track and it's just, I love a live band. Like I appreciate the
you would have appreciated Harry Connick Jr.
I didn't see. That's the only thing I haven't seen from the Super Bowl yesterday, so I gotta watch it. But I appreciate a live band. I just you know, there's just something about it, and collaboration, and even Kendrick Lamar's collaborations were like. I mean, people who are, to me, are completely irrelevant.
It was
to the
only
world.
one. It was
SZA.
SZA. Yeah.
Who was the guy at the end?
Like, cut her off, dude. SZA. What the heck?
Who was the guy at the end holding the football?
I have no idea. That's confused me.
That was the
producer.
DJ who produced where he made the beat for Not Like
Oh.
Us. DJ Mustard.
Oh, okay.
See, again, I'm like, who is this guy with
yeah,
a football?
see, like, if you don't
like,
know
is he a retired quarterback? Like, I don't know this guy at all. Like,
Is that Warren Moon?
like, who is this guy?
Is that Warren Moon?
You know?
Boys in the booth, being the youngest two in the room, what's your take? And be honest. School us old guys.
I mean, I liked it. I thought the set design, you know, you could say what you will. I mean, I think Kendrick Lamar is the type that, like, he does things that require you to, like, think deeply about what you just saw or listened to. He's kind of like Jordan Peele. Like, when you watch one of his movies, you don't really get it, and then you have to watch a video explaining what you just saw.
These guys have not seen a Jordan Peele movie.
No. I've seen them all.
He
hold
loves it.
that thought. We'll come back to it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So I didn't really get the story. I could tell there was a storyline with the Samuel L. Jackson character and the Great American
Mace
Game,
Windu, respect.
the whole thing.
Good Lord.
I couldn't really follow it in real time, but I was like, okay, there's something cool going on. I thought the choreography was cool, and I didn't really think he was gonna do the Drake diss. But
That
then
was-
when he did,
yeah, that
I
was
was
kinda
like,
wild.
whoa, he went there. And then seeing Serena Williams come out and she's like walking to it, I'm like, dang, this guy is petty.
Yeah, he went to
was
town,
not
dude,
even-
yeah.
See, but you watched the prequel. Like you knew what was happening. This was episode 2. This was what is it?
Clone Wars.
No. What's the second like of the old Star Wars? Empire Strikes Back. This was Daniel's Empire Strikes Back. You had to go in with some knowledge at the beginning
No idea.
to understand
dude.
what was happening. You
I
didn't
know.
even know.
Even the Drake diss. Like Maddie was like making a huge deal about the Drake diss,
It was
and
a
we're
huge deal.
we're watching it, right?
Wait,
and
have you listened to the song?
Well, listen.
Wait, don't even listen. Just read the lyrics. You don't
Okay,
even have to
well,
listen.
listen.
Read the
So
lyrics.
he's rapping it, and then she's like, "Whoa!" And I'm like, "What? Did he say it? Did he say something? Did he?" He
Yes.
said his name. I completely missed. I had to rewind it twice to even hear Drake's name be mentioned in A minor. I'm like, what is this? Like,
He called
what
him a
is happening?
pedophile.
Right, but I think the bigger point though is that if you don't know that,
Oh, completely lost.
and 90% of the Super Bowl audience did not know that.
I don't know if 90%.
80's
He
generous.
just won 5 Grammys. He's the biggest artist.
Yeah, he
in
has
the
like
world.
17 Grammys total.
Biggest star in the world?
The biggest
That-
music artist.
That's a
He's-
huge claim.
Right now. He's the hottest music artist there is right now.
There's no way.
For you for sure is.
Wow.
See,
All
I don't
right.
I don't
Maybe
know.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if I think his peak was a few years ago. I think the Drake beef has revamped him. Like I think it's brought him back into the spotlight. But I don't know if he's like I don't think he is what he was like when he did the Black Panther soundtrack. I think that was like near his peak. You know what I mean? Do you disagree?
I don't know. He's the type that he puts out music, then he goes away for like 3-4 years, then he comes back, and then he's got the big song, and then he goes away, and then he comes back again. So I think this was his biggest like year, and like probably maybe ever, like streaming wise, numbers wise. Maybe not necessarily quality, but like
I just think like
everybody has heard about this situation.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people do. I mean,
not everybody.
I knew
Not
that. I knew there
everybody.
was a beef, but like again, as a casual observer, I didn't know. I wouldn't have known the part of the song. Is that why he had a big A? That was the big thing.
what was the big A for?
Minor
See, I still
chain.
missed it.
A minor.
Oh, A minor. That's why.
Yeah.
I thought it was an Amazon chain.
I
Yeah.
did
Yeah, I
too.
thought it was the Amazon.
I really
logo.
did too. I was like,
Yeah.
wow,
I was like,
serious
this guy's
marketing
getting-
here.
Yeah, it's a diamond crusted Amazon. logo.
So Jordan Peele, real quick, Spencer. Okay, I was with Jordan Peele until his last movie. So Get Out is amazing.
I felt the same
Us
exact
is
way.
incredible.
Yeah.
Nope. What the heck was that
You
all
like
about?
Nope?
I didn't get it.
I didn't even
was good.
understand it.
Yeah.
Nope was good.
What was the message? What was it trying to say?
Oh,
It makes
come
no
on.
sense at all. Johnny's
Yeah,
with me.
I felt that too.
Johnny.
It's like the movie kept building up and then it never went anywhere.
Yeah, like me, Johnny, and his sister are watching that, and we're just waiting for something to happen. Waiting, and it didn't seem like it ever happened.
I liked it. I liked Nope.
Can you
It
explain
wasn't-
like the?
Yeah, can you break it
I still
down?
I don't know like what was going on really.
No.
But he liked it.
But I did like it. I remember I haven't seen it's been like 4 or 5 years since I've seen it. I think it was like when it came out is when I watched it. So I think at that point I got it, but I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's
so I
like
don't
probably
remember.
3. That was probably 3 years ago.
Was it
when
only
came
3
out.
years ago?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels like 5.
That movie's so long.
It's
It is
really,
really long.
and
It is really long.
It doesn't really.
It was very strange, but
It doesn't add up.
yeah.
It was
But-
a cool idea until like they revealed like what was going on.
Yeah.
And then it was like
There was like the whole thing with like the monkey, right? That like
Yeah.
killed.
I
a
didn't
bunch of
understand how the
people.
monkey,
I didn't get
the whole
it.
monkey story went together with the whole alien thing. Like I was just.
I think it's like it's I think the theme of that movie was like somebody is or something is out of place where they are. And I think because they were an African American family that owned a ranch, right? And it was
Yeah.
like it was very. I think that was like a fish out of water. Like they are out of place where they are in that town.
If any message I got, it was like black exploitation in
I think that was also part of
in
it.
film.
I think that was
Because
part of it.
like the whole thing that they're like the horse kind of represented, like they're like, you know, like, oh, they just keep throwing out horses, and it became food for the alien.
I feel like I did acid. Like I feel like I did acid. What are we talking about? Horses and aliens and monkeys and black
You just
people?
gotta watch
Like,
this movie.
what is going on? I'm so
Dude,
confused.
go culture yourself. Come on.
Yeah, you need to culture yourself.
I would definitely say watch Get Out, watch Get Out and watch Us.
Yeah.
Get Out's good. Watch the Twilight Zone too. He's like does the new Twilight Zone. He took over, so now
Movie or television?
television. Like,
Oh, I didn't even know there was. A
yeah,
movie.
they like redid the Twilight Zone, and he's like the host, and I think he's one of the writers,
All right.
like producers for it. So there's a lot of, but it's a lot like we said before. It's a lot of big brain. Like you got to think about it a little bit, but you kind of got to know a little bit about the culture.
See, I'm very simple. I just want to watch and be entertained. I don't want to think. I don't want to dive too deep.
Watch Get Out at least.
You know, I just want Mace Windu to chop off some people.
Mace
I mean, at
kill
least
some
if you're gonna
droids.
talk about Samuel Jackson, at least say Jules.
What's a Jules?
From
It's
Pulp
the most
Fiction.
iconic role ever, Pulp Fiction.
What is it?
So sorry.
Royale with cheese.
A Royale, what is it?
Double
Double Royale with cheese.
Double Royale with cheese. You don't know Jules?
He's so uncultured. He doesn't know anything.
Doesn't ring a bell, dude.
Do you watch
If it doesn't have laser beams and spaceships, or
laser beams?
or you know like hobbits and
Don't
orcs, is that
watch
what they're
yourself.
call?
Watch-
Orcs and elves.
Say what you want.
Watch
dude.
yourself, Ken.
Say what you want.
You won't watch it if it's
Say
You're
what you
crossing
want.
the line. You're crossing the line. here.
orcs and elves and
You're on the outs on this one.
and laser beams. That's
You're on
about
the
it.
outs on this one. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think you had to be understanding of the culture. You had to be understanding of basically what's been happening, to understand like why what he was doing was so impactful for a lot of people. And I think it's a mirror of a lot of things that we talk about, especially on this podcast, of things that are happening in the culture. And that's kind of a little bit about what we wanted to talk about tonight is what's a healthy culture look like, whether it be in your workplace, whether it be in your neighborhood, whether it be within the church. So it's really something that it's very intriguing, because if you're not in the culture, you can kind of feel lost. You know what I mean? You can kind of feel on the outs of things that are happening. So
Kind of feel like you're doing acid listening to
Yeah,
alien stories.
well,
Like,
listen. Listen,
tell you what, I felt
It's-
like out right there.
it's not as bad of a movie as you guys are saying. I don't know. I liked it. Glenn from The Walking Dead was in it. I was into it. But so I mean, as far as what we're going to discuss tonight, this came from a listener. This was something that a listener had come to you, Daniel, about, to try to, I guess, shed some light or get some understanding of what a healthy culture looks like. Do you want to share some of that?
Yeah, our boy Toby, friend of the pod.
Oh, we can do in shout outs.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Toby.
Friend of the pod, Toby.
Gonna bring him in. He just asked if we could talk about building healthy culture. You know, I think he previously came from a little bit of an unhealthy culture, came from a place where leadership was lacking and accountability and vision, and also just creating a healthy culture and sustaining that culture. And so kind of coming now and being in around a healthier culture where leadership is really proactive at creating but also sustaining and policing culture. Just kind of, you want to know like what goes into that. Why is building healthy culture important? How do you sustain and keep it? So yeah, he just wanted us to kind of talk and touch on that a little bit, because he's always just really, he's worked in places where the culture has been really garbage, and it even caused him to leave his job, which he went to school for, and go back to he works at Riccardi's in the restaurant business. And that culture is great, and he loves it, and it brings him joy, and so now he's working there. And it's like, you know, he didn't want to do his marketing gig because he's like, it's miserable, you know, but he went back to the restaurant business because of the culture. So culture has a huge impact, and I see some laughter going
Yeah,
on.
because
what's going on here?
Because Spencer, do you want to share? You want to share, Spencer?
Spence, get on that mic,
Get on the mics. Get on the mics.
I too worked at Riccardi's.
I think.
as did Melissa, Josh's
Yeah.
wife.
Oh no way, we got some Riccardi's lore
Yeah,
on the pod.
So I think the culture that you're
future sponsor of the pod.
gonna be a
Maybe.
little different. I think Spencer has a different take on that.
I saw some things. I heard some things.
in front of the pod, Riccardi's. They're not gonna sponsor us anymore, dude.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Mike Riccardi.
Oh man.
Yeah, that the culture. That seems like a stretch to call it good. Depends on your definition.
I guess culture is relevant to the
But
person.
maybe it's calmed down. I haven't worked there since like 2018, so maybe things have shifted.
Yeah.
But
2018 was 7
I
years
saw
ago now.
I saw some very toxic things in my.
Oh,
in my
I'm
day.
sure.
I'm sure Melissa did too. We worked there at the
Yes.
same time.
You worked there at the same time? Did you know you knew Melissa?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Fun fact.
Fun fact. Told you this guy's been around in my life for a long
I
time.
learned that he plays bass today.
Yeah.
You knew your wife.
He slapped at a bass, man.
Slap at the bass. So much
He
happening.
plays it up here.
See, that's how good bass players play, dude.
That's not true. Don't let
That is
gain traction.
That is another movie reference. What is that? I Love You, Man. Slap at a bass.
Again, I'm out on that one.
Yeah, I'm out on that one too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You with me on that one? All right,
Dude,
Spencer's
Paul,
with me.
Paul Rudd, Jason
Yeah,
Segel.
Paul
what a absolutely phenomenal movie.
So many cultural references today.
So I'll segue it in the two stories. So Toby's talking about positive culture, Spence is talking about not so positive culture, and I think that probably speaks to the fact that how quickly it can change, and also probably speaks to, and I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but how the tone is set. That usually is how culture is established, and the tone is set typically by leadership. Who's leading, who's steering the ship.
Right.
So, perhaps, again, I'm just inferring from what I'm hearing, from these guys but maybe, when Spence and Melissa were there, maybe the tone wasn't great. That was set. And then maybe now Toby works for different leadership where there's a stronger culture, stronger tone.
I think so. I'm in a leadership role. We're all in leadership. Us three, we're in leadership roles in our collective careers. I guess we could say. And I took over a leadership role of an office that had a very lax culture, very loose, very much like there was no defined leader. And that was because of there was a revolving door or absent leadership within my workspace. So when I came in to my manager role at the post office, there was a lot of work that needed to be done. So I think what's tough about that is if you are a person that wants to make change, especially in an environment like that, it's going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of diligence and patience to change the culture. So me, when I got in, that was kind of the thing that I geared towards was I don't like the way that this is. I wouldn't want to work here. I need to change this to be more of what I believe is a beneficial culture. But I think that's kind of what points to the difference in what Spencer and Toby experienced at the same place is maybe some people are more comfortable in a certain type of culture. They could be working there at the same time, and one person feel like this is great, and one person feel like this is the worst place I've ever worked in my entire life. And I think that all goes back to maybe core values of what you believe is a core value of yours. But I wanted to make sure I instilled my core values in what it is that I did every day. And it has definitely at first was it was met with a lot of resistance. It was met with a lot of pushback and I had a lot of arguments with people, a lot of lack of support from the people that should have been supporting me. But I think perseverance is key. And I think at the end of the day, my patience and just being diligent and staying and trusting the process and trusting in God that he was going to move, it helped it to build an environment that I love being in. I think a lot of the turmoil that I had at the beginning has completely dissipated, and now it's a place where I think we're making a positive impact on the people that work there, the people that work for me, the people that work with me. I think the people that work above me love me and my team for what we do. So it can change. It just takes a long time.
Absolutely.
From what I experienced.
Well, anybody who's ever had a job can relate to the experience of working in a place. If you make kind of less money but in a really good environment, and you make a lot of money in a really bad environment, one's going to last longer than the other. And typically it's going to be making less money in a better environment, because at least there's a sense of a little bit of peace there, and the culture is kind of what sustains you. And I worked at a local school, and I came in, and I was there for 7 years, I want to say. 17 to, actually it was like 6 years. And in that time, I had at least 3 superintendents, at least 5 principals, and at least 8 or 9 vice principals. So every year was like a whole new turnover in leadership. And that was one of the most toxic work environments I've ever worked in, because there was such an instability in leadership. And because of the toxicity, it was like no one wanted to do anything. You couldn't get people to sign up to lead clubs. You couldn't get teachers to go to extracurricular activities. You couldn't the culture was so destroyed. And when this is the same school I went to. I went to high school there. And I remember going to high school, and the teachers were locked in. The principal was the principal that had been there. She was the principal for the last 11 years. And the vice principal had changed a couple of times, but in that 11-year time, but it was always stable. And so the culture of the school district was amazing when I was there as a teacher. I leave for 4 years to go to college. I come back, I get hired in that district, and then it's like that was her last year, and then she retired, and it just devolved into chaos. And so it was 11 years of good, sustained culture where it was being reinforced, where it was built. People knew what to expect and what was expected of them. There was a safety there. And then all of a sudden, literally the rug was pulled out. And in 3 months of being under a new principal and under new leadership, from superintendent down to vice principal, it unraveled so quickly. And it was just never recovered because new principal.
That kind of goes to the question that I was going to ask, is that what are some of the benchmarks of or some of the attributes of toxic culture versus healthy culture? Because I think in order for us to really discuss this and unpack it right, we need to define that. So what would you say, from your experience, what are the attributes of toxic culture?
I think a leader who appreciates the people they lead.
No, toxic.
Oh, toxic. Sorry, toxic.
A leader that doesn't
appreciate. A leader that shows no appreciation, kind of treats you as a number, that you're replaceable. You never get a thank you, or you never even get a simple hi. You don't know me, I don't know you. We don't know each other personally. You're brief. You're standoffish. You're more worried about the task or more worried about the outcome or the task than about the people you're leading to get that task done. And so I think when you start to value, I think it ties a thread through many of our podcasts. When you start to value things over people, calling it back to the Jack Marks song, it's like when you start to value the things, or you start to value the outcomes, you start to value all of that way more than the people you're leading. I think you lost the battle as a culture and as a leadership.
I think when we talk about leadership too, I mean, I think a theme that we've always talked about is the leader has to be present and understand that the buck stops with them. When there's something that the people beneath you are unequipped or unqualified or unprepared to tackle, the buck stops with you. And I think the thing that I had felt when I had toxic leadership above me was I had one of the biggest things happening in my career. It was a big investigation that was happening throughout my office, and the person that was above me in the acting postmaster role at that time was disappeared completely, like wanted no part of it. I'm trying to navigate this very unique situation, very combustible situation where there's a lot of different parties involved, a lot of different allegations being thrown around, and it's kind of, I just had walked into it. It wasn't like I wasn't involved in it, but I had walked into it. So now I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this, and that person wants no part of it. So now I'm left trying to pick up the pieces and keep the peace and keep business going as usual. And the person that I'm supposed to be looking to for the answers or looking to for the support is basically saying, nope, I'm washing my hands of this situation. I don't want any part of it. So I think being present and taking accountability for the role that you have as a leader, if we're going to continue to talk about leadership, is huge. It's huge in that realm, because the people that are beneath you, they want to feel like you're pulling with them. They don't want to feel like you're pushing them. They don't want to feel like you're not there at all and just telling them. They want you to feel that you're pulling with them and you're pulling for them when needed.
Yeah, and I think also too is I think that strong culture, that healthy culture tone is when you know when to also challenge people. And I don't mean challenge them in confrontation, but challenge them to work harder.
Yeah.
Challenge them to see the vision, to get with the vision, challenge them to try new methodology. For myself, definitely as a teacher, I taught for 16 years, and I really worked for 3 principals over that time. And the first 2 could not have been more opposite, but they were both great leaders, and the culture in the school was amazing. First guy was like kind of more laid back, personality-wise, but the love, the support, the diligence, it was all there. The way he interacted with teachers, the way he interacted with students, it was just a healthy culture. It felt like a team and all this, all this stuff. So he retired, and somebody came in who had almost the exact opposite personality, but the culture remained intact. It was healthy just because the real attributes that make a difference, so not so much personality, but the love for the students, the love for the teachers, the support for the staff, the team mentality was still there. And it's funny because you had like kind of the slackers really did not like the second guy when they came in, even though the culture was still healthy. And then like some of your type A's, they really kind of never liked the first guy who was there, it's because they were expecting like, this salute, mentality, be told what to do. So that was two tenures. And then the third person that came in, it was a teacher that I actually worked with. She was at the school previously as a reading specialist. One of the nicest people you'll ever meet, but destroyed the culture in 3 months because, wasn't supportive of her teachers, didn't really have like a disciplined mindset when it came to students, left the teachers out to dry. It was a project area, so it was a tough environment, tough parents, never supported her staff when they got into it with parents, or with, just left everybody hang out to dry, afraid of people, would go hide in her office. End of story.
Damn.
It took 3 months for one of like the top schools in the district to go off the cliff.
Insane.
Just because of culture.
And I think it's one of those things as a culture. I think it's easier to sustain, but man, when it crumbles, it is so much harder to build. It's so much harder to take in a deflated team of people and get them to where they were, or to get them to a healthy culture. The reality of it is taking them from that toxic environment to a healthy environment. like you're gonna lose people along the way because like they've been in this toxic environment for a while and they've just been allowed to just stay there for a while, and a lot of that means complacency or behaviors that are tolerated that shouldn't be. And now when you get a leader who the buck stops with them, and like there's gonna be a tone set, and not of like a dictatorship, but there's a standard. There's a standard there. There's a standard, and so you lose people along the way, but on the road to health, health is the best place that you can be. Like if you ever worked in a good environment with a good boss and a good atmosphere, man, it's almost unbeatable. You know, the work itself can be mundane. It can be tiring. It can be exhausting. It can be physical. It can be mentally exhausting. It can be draining. It can be emotionally draining. Maybe you're a social worker or something and you see a lot, or you're a police officer and you see a lot on the day to day. But a good environment completely changes the team's ability to want to show up and give their best. If you have a leader who, do as I say, not as I do, who is never present, who holds you to a higher standard than they hold themselves, who, sets higher goals for themselves and underperforms in every area, it's like, I don't want to get behind you, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to be led by you. I don't want to even be in that environment. So culture's important.
I'll tell you that thought process of changing a culture or pulling a group of people out of this toxic environment, out of this poor performing, poor mindset, poor attitude, whatever it may be. When it's a group of people, I think it's hard because we'll say you got your good employees. Okay, those people, once you start to come in and make the changes and hold people accountable and things like that, those people are going to stay. Those people are going to be engaged. Mm-hmm. They probably already were. They're probably already still doing a good job. They have integrity. They're still doing their good job. But they're also now seeing a good leader doing good things to correct the deficiencies or correct the issues that they see. Those people stay engaged and maybe get even more engaged. Then you're going to have a percentage of your employees that are your bad employees that got used to being able to slack off, be the lazy people, be the people that didn't have to go an extra mile or were able to skirt outside the rules, skirt outside those things. Those are the people that you're going to lose. You're either going to lose them or you're going to have to have some corrective discussions and things like that to get them re-engaged, get them back on to where they were. But I think a majority of the people that you're talking about, they fall somewhere in that middle. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you're going to lose people along the way. But the people that you already have are going to stay engaged. And these people that are in the middle, this is really where a majority of your work's going to happen.
That's the battleground,
Yeah, that's exactly where everything happens. So your goal is really, you're probably going to lose some people, but we need to keep this, whatever you want to call it, 80%. If you got 10% good, 10% bad, you got 80% in the middle. We got to keep that 80% as close to 80 as we can and move them across the line into what we're trying to build here to be successful, to be healthy, to be whatever it is.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is that takes years to build, and as we talked about, it only takes months to destroy.
Insane.
And the thing with even your pool of people, like the good workers, toxic culture, it's just human nature. We always go down to lowest common denominator. Even the good workers, they will tend to settle into bad habits.
Absolutely.
and kind of apathetic thinking and apathetic work attitude and things like that. And that's I can speak firsthand because that's what happened to me. I thought I had the best job in the world. And it only took a few months, for me to be like, I don't even like coming into work. You know what I mean? I don't even like it here. And you could just see the vibe, the look on people's faces, just like their expressions, their eye rolls. It's just it's so obvious when you walk into a place if there's strong culture that's been built or toxic culture that exists, that's allowed to exist, because it's on everybody's face. And nobody wants to be there.
So now you guys are in different roles in what it is that you do. So now when we talk about culture, so let's talk about culture within the church for a minute. So now when in my workplace, I know what my goal is on a daily basis. Outside influence, maybe the weather might change that for my team, but the church itself, there's obviously a goal, but I feel like there's far more external influence on the culture of the church.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think I can't remember who said it, but I think Daniel's you. I think when in a lot of churches that have toxic culture or not really a healthy culture, I think the common denominator is task over people, or mission over people, because it's very easy, for us to just put the emphasis on what has to be done and the work that that has to be put in and the different programs that have to be started, and we need this, and we harp so much on that we lose the fact that the church is made up of people and that those who volunteer are also going through things as well, and the ministry should really be about them, because if you can really help them, love them, support them, help them get healed, help them rise above, the task's going to be no problem.
Right.
They're going to want to do the task. They're going to love the task because they're so grateful to be part of this healing and healthy community that, they'll do anything you want. 100%. So I think that's really the key, is when people are the focus over the problem or over the task at hand.
Yeah, I think, Ken, I'd like to hear from you, because I think if anybody has a good perspective when it comes to church leadership, I think it would be you. Can you talk about what it was like coming in, when you came in? I mean, I know the context of it, but just build that context of what that environment was like, and how we've gotten to 2025 where we are now, where I would say, it's not perfect, but there's a standard of excellence, and there's health that's been established. Like, can you briefly just kind of talk about what that was like? Yeah, and especially coming in from teaching and then just being thrown into the fray.
Well, by no means is anything I say like an indictment against any other leaders that are or were there. What happened was that the church started to grow beyond its, not beyond its limits, but just beyond itself. And the church model, just out of, I don't know if it was necessity or just out of, paradigm, was that you really just had one person that was responsible for so many people. But as many of us know, one person can only be responsible for so many people. As it grows beyond that, there's going to be people that slip through the cracks. There's going to be things that are lost. And so for us to come in, first of all, and kind of have a team mentality, and it was a very toxic atmosphere, just because of probably for many, many, many years having just one person doing so many things. There's just so much energy and emphasis that you can put as one person.
Right.
And so, there was a lot of things that slipped through the cracks. There was people's spiritual health, emotional health, marital health, relational health. And so when you walk into that situation and you have stuff crumbling, left and right, people crumbling, families crumbling, what you got to really just figure out what's important, shelf everything else, and really focus on what's important. And so for us, it was the work of people, and I think that probably transcends most workplaces. I don't think that has to be church. You know what I mean? I think healthy culture in any workplace will always start with people.
100%.
Raising high standards, but not just saying, oh, hey, climb up here. No. Get from the bottom up and start pushing people up there to try to get up to where you want them to be. It does take a servant's heart. It does take servant leadership to do that. And so I think that was really just the problems or all the tasks and all the missions that we had to do were just kind of put on the shelf for a little bit. And the goal was like, all right, let's just see if we can get to a healthy place and be a little less mission-oriented for now and be more people and healthy-oriented, build a nice community of healthy people, at least that people that are on the mend, really give them some hope that there's an end goal in mind, and the end goal is their health, and then integrate them back into the mission at hand. And that's really the process that we tried to follow and to get where we're at now.
So you've gotten to that point, right? You've gotten to that point where you've mended these people, let's say. You've gotten them back into the culture. We'll call it the culture. Now, because here's the part that you just said that made me think about, because having a servant's heart and guiding and lifting up. Okay, well, now we've put you in this place where you understand what your responsibilities are. You understand what the goal is. Okay, you understand what we're moving towards. Okay, this is what we're moving towards as a church. Now, what I think of just to parallel it to my workplace is, all right, this is what we're up. I've set the expectation for you. Now what happens when you step out of line? Where is the accountability? Okay. Now, because I can be a servant, but at some point I got to be a leader.
100%.
And as a leader, there's going to be some, I call it corrective action that takes place to correct a deficiency that I see within your work performance, your attitude, your attendance, whatever it is. Now, how is that? Because I think that's a part that we bring this up a lot on this podcast, is how do we approach the accountability aspect of this culture to say, this is what the culture is, this is what we're building, this is what we're moving towards. You've navigated outside of that. You need to fix it. You need to check yourself.
Yeah, I mean, one of our values, our personal values, is open, honest, direct. Mm-hmm. You address it. And that's one thing that we've always really tried to model and implement, is that we would, because most people are afraid just naturally of addressing the difficult conversations. Terrible leaders avoid them. And I've seen that throughout. And like I said, even though I was a teacher for a lot of years, I learned a lot from those principles that I take into leadership now, even though it had nothing to do with church. Because a lot of this is just dealing with people, and leadership is modeled. And so, to address things and not avoid the tough conversations and not avoid the difficult situations is super important. To take that a little further, though, is that, and we'll bring it back to football, because I know we're maybe getting to almost to a wrap-up point soon. But when you hear like the Patriots players of the dynasty talk about the culture, that Belichick didn't have to enforce very much. The players policed one another because the culture was so understood top down. Yeah. And so when culture really grows healthy and grows strong, it's like, I don't have to do much and I don't have to say much, even though I'm the lead. Yeah. Because it's in the culture. We've modeled this and we've reinforced it, and we've set the standard high for the last 10, 11 years, so that, if somebody ventures out of line like that, there's other people there that are like, hey, no, we don't do it like that here. You know what I mean? So an
absolute metaphor, dude. This guy's a poet.
Come on. So initially, did I have a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings with people? Heck yeah. Like with people that I was very uncomfortable to even meet with. You're talking about infidelity, and you're talking about, these generational deals and big family issues and all this stuff. I had to have those conversations. But the more that you're able to do that and build a healthy and strong culture, the more then the culture starts policing itself.
Yeah. So check this out, because those guys that you're talking about that were on that Patriots team, these are all veterans. These are all guys that have been around for a while. They've been a part of the culture. They were there when Belichick got there. So now these guys are in higher positions. Well, not even necessarily are they in higher positions. They might not necessarily be captains or anything like that. But like you said, they are policing because they have bought into what this man is teaching, and they've seen that it works. They've seen the success. They got a couple rings. They see that this is what it takes to win. This is what it takes to be successful here. So now they're doing that part that you're talking about, and not looking for, I don't need to be a coach. Yeah, I'm a part of this team.
Yeah. How often did like a problem player from another team go to the Patriots and fall in line? Oh yeah. Like Randy Moss is a great example of that.
Randy Moss,
Randy Moss was a diva. He was a problem other places. Right. No issues with Patriots whatsoever. Right. He bought right in because it was such a strong and established
Corey
culture.
Dillon.
Yeah, that nobody had to. He didn't have to be policed by Daddy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Belichick didn't have to police him. No,
Daddy Belichick.
The other players, man. The other players, it was so ingrained, and it was such a team mentality, and I mean, I know there's a lot of stories and all that, but it was a strong, healthy culture as far as when it comes to winning and professionalism, a standard of excellence. They just fell in line, not because the big dog said so.
That's huge.
That's a great point.
That's an excellent point you made, because I think it's like, at first, I think starting from the ground level, building healthy culture is like the leader needs to set the pace, and they need to model what it means to be a leader. I mean, to be a healthy leader and a servant leader. And like, you modeled that in terms of like setting a standard of accountability, open, honest, direct. Like, these weren't just core values you threw up on a wall, but like you had to live them and you had to model them. And you like that groundwork with the elders that you guys set at the onset was like, you guys were the only ones doing that for a little while. And then eventually it started becoming the culture. And so now the people who you're discipling, bring it back to the discipleship episode, the people you're discipling, now they're bringing it into the people that they're leading and that they're discipling and that they're in charge of. And so it kind of pulled over where instead of it being Moses just kind of doing all the work, now you have, Moses who's empowered all the other leaders to come alongside and lead in a much smaller fashion, smaller pockets, which is much more manageable. And honestly, kind of Moses is able to kind of sit back and really deal with the much larger issues at hand. And it makes the whole organization, the whole thing, way more efficient, way more healthy, and way more easy to kind of tackle. So I think it's a great point.
A tangible example too to go along with that is like our small groups, because when we had a church of no small groups, 10, 11 years ago, and so when we wanted to start small groups, we could have just like gone down a roster of people and been like, okay, you and you start a small group, but it wouldn't have been modeled. There'd be like, they wouldn't have understood the heart of what we wanted to do. So what happened is that me and the other two elders, we started small groups. I hosted, he hosted, and he hosted. And that was maybe 2 or 3 seasons of small groups, just the 3 of us leading. And then what happens? Reproduction, replication. Now we're at the point, this season we have 13 small groups, the most we've ever had, and we don't have to lead any of them.
Yeah.
Because we put in the time to model and to set an example and set a high standard and put the heart out there, not just in word, but in action. Mm-hmm. And then, again, you replicate it. It replicates by itself. Yeah. When it's healthy.
It needs to be reinforced and encouraged. And when people get kind of out of line, you just, you can put up the barriers a little bit, but it's not the big to do as it used to be.
I had somebody who wanted to bring in a pyramid scheme into the Connect group. Do you think that was a great conversation to have? No, I had to take the guy aside and I said, look, we don't do that here. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine people showing up to a Connect group? They want a small group. They want to, it's about this, that, or the other thing. It's something that's, enriching for them emotionally and spiritually. And they come into the bait and switch to this multi-level marketing presentation. So what's wrong with you? I said, no, we don't do that here.
Right.
So you have to protect it,
right?
Because lowest common denominator, it will always go to the lowest common denominator if you let it. So, you have to have tough conversations, but those become fewer and far between as the culture and the healthy culture grows.
Just 1 second. I think what you tolerate, you perpetuate. And so the behaviors you tolerate, they're only going to perpetuate more and more and more. And so that lowest common denominator, that's what just kind of made me think of it. It's like in a classroom setting, like the standard needed to be set, because those little behaviors that you didn't address in kids, if you didn't set a standard of how your classroom was run, before you know it, they're standing on desks, pulling fire alarms, throwing pencils. It's like the whole thing has devolved to chaos because you were unwilling to address the smaller behavior. Now it's like increased to a much larger effect. So I think for sure the behaviors you tolerate, it's going to perpetuate.
So this is the question that I have then for both of you. This open, honest, and direct, okay? I understand it. I get it. I do it at my work all the time. I know what the contract states, and I'm able to hold people accountable as those things go. I've sat in a small group, okay? I've heard somebody clearly not being realistic of the way that they're living, not being honest about shortcomings, spiraling, having a lot of issues, and I still kick myself to this day because even though I could tell, like, hey, you are the problem, and I wanted to say something, I didn't say anything. Okay. And I haven't seen this person in a long time now. And part of me is like, damn, I dropped the ball. I should have. I could tell what was happening, the way that they were living, the choices that they were making was a direct influence on the negative things that were taking place in their lives. They were making a lot of excuses and passing the blame onto somebody else, and there wasn't anybody being open. Well, maybe not that I saw, but as far as myself, nobody was being open, honest, and direct with this person. And to see them walk away, it hurt me. And I still think about it to this day, and it really bothers me. So my question is, how do we approach that? How does me, Josh, a brother of many other brothers within the church, sisters within the church, love everybody I come into contact with, how do I care about these people, love them, and approach this aspect of building a good culture to help change their trajectory, I guess?
Well, I mean, it sounds like you missed, and again, I'm not just, throwing salt on the wound, but it sounds like you missed an opportunity, right?
Throw salt on the wound.
No,
dude. I need it.
I just want to make sure I have it clear. You missed an opportunity to speak openly about, So I think that goes with the territory, because I don't know anybody who's not had to really build up to that type of standard to really address things when you see them. Yeah. Because naturally we're inclined to avoid the awkward and the difficult conversation.
Yeah.
So I just think it's becoming, just a little bit more bold, when it comes to that, and certainly not doing it in a way that, condemns or anything like that, but just being willing. I think more times than not, people appreciated when I was open and direct with them, more times than not always, but more times than not. So I think, the fact that somebody can talk to me about what I'm struggling with, and they can kind of see through my BS or see through the veil and speak to me through that, I think is a good thing. I think that helps to build that healthy culture. And I think other people see that and like, okay, that's accepted here. Yeah. That's okay. Some places it might be taboo, but here it's okay.
Yeah. And believe it or not, people want to be led. Yeah. They want to be led, and they're seeking help. They're looking to their leader to be led. I lead the worship ministry, and very recently I handled a situation very, very wrongly, where I avoided a conversation. I avoided conflict. I'm a people pleaser sometimes by nature, and that's something I'm really working at trying to overcome. And I wasn't open, honest, and direct. And that led to a lot of hurt. It led to a lot of hurt with a person that I lead. And then I had to have a conversation with this person and, face the fact that, it was on me that I failed them. Right. Because had I been a better leader and had I been open, honest, and direct, I could have helped this person to grow. But instead I pushed them away. And where have I really led them? I've led them astray, really, essentially. And so it kind of, you're always doing these inventories. You're always looking inward and reflecting that you don't always get it right. And as a person who leads, like, you need to learn how to forgive yourself, but also don't just forgive yourself freely, like change. And that's something Ken's always on me about, is approaching conflict. Be open, honest, and direct. And I think we throw open, honest, and direct out there because I think a lot of the core values can kind of flow out of that. But you can't just be open, honest, and direct and negate all their other core values. For our church specifically, I mean, this is a very niche group, but there's 11 other core values there, and I say it all the time. You can't just be open, honest, and direct, but throw people, we care about people out the window. Like, you can't just be open, honest, and direct and forget the be respectful towards everyone. Some people take be open, honest, and direct as like, oh, like I'll just tell it as it is then, but okay, where's your be cheerful, have a good attitude? Where is focus on solutions rather than problems? Like, is your open, honest, and direct just like erasing that other core value? Because if it is, then being open, honest, and direct really isn't worth it
Right.
for what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
Like, what's your motive of being open, honest, and direct? Is it prioritizing the person rather than the outcome? Is it prioritizing the person rather than the goal or the objective that you see for them? Like, you need to prioritize the person and the relationship you have there. And we've said it a million times. We'll say it again. Like, accountability without relationship is judgment. And so there needs to be relationship and true love there first.
I think that there's a lot of tact from what you're saying. There's a lot of tact to approach this. It can't just be, we ain't just calling people out that you don't even really know, especially like with a lot of people. If there's other people around and things like that, we're not here to embarrass anybody or anything
Definitely
like that.
not.
But I think that's the hard part for me is I'm not I don't know. I'm an aggressive person when it comes to that. Like, it just is what it is. And it's not out of like a place of like to harm. It's just like, I don't do passive aggressive. I don't do like eggshells. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say what I got to say. We're going to hash it out, maybe argue about it, whatever it is. And then we're going to move on. We're going to bury it. We're going to figure it out together and we're going to move past it.
Yeah.
So, but that's not how you can approach every aspect of things like this with different type of issues.
Oh, and there's some people you have to use softer approach with. There's some people you have to use a harder approach with, and that's where it's just the whole relational piece.
Yeah.
It really boils in because you're gonna know who needs what and how to. It's the same thing as parenting. You're not gonna parent your kids the exact same way because they're two individuals who are very different.
Right.
You know, you're not gonna treat them unfairly. But you do have to treat them a little bit differently in the way that you approach. Maybe one is hurt. Maybe one talks to you a lot more and one is more closed about their hurt and their pain. It's the same way. It's like when you parent. You know, you don't avoid it. You don't avoid parenting.
Right.
Because that's bad, right? The same way that when we have a relationship with people, we can't avoid these conversations. But in the how we approach them, you know, I have a friend who I can just say it as it is, no skin off my back, and I know he's going to be fine. And there's other people, it's like, you know, I have to kind of delicately trudge the water because anything that I say will and can be used against me in the court of law. So I need to, you know, I do need to kind of tread the waters lightly or factor a little bit more of their emotions and their feelings into it. So again, it's all in the relationship. It really is.
And I think all these factors just build into like building. We talk about leadership a lot. We talk about a lot of these things that go into what it means to have a good and positive culture happening within whatever it is, your workplace, the church, whatever it may be. But it does start with the leadership, and then the leadership then trickling it down. Like that's why that Bill Belichick Patriots metaphor was like, it's a really good metaphor because people are going to step up into those positions just based off of your leadership, and you won't really even have to ask them or call them to do it.
100%.
So, yeah, there's a lot of...
That's coming from a Cowboys fan, too. So
I know.
You know the
lot
culture
of respect.
You know that was deep.
You know the culture was good.
Oh, man. Yeah, so we gotta keep working on it. I mean, I work on it every day, and it takes a long time. It takes a long time to build a good culture, but you know a good culture when you're in it. So if you're in one, be a part of it. Be a part of the culture.
Go over to Riccardi's, dude.
Listen, best linguiça pizza going. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much.
I gotta say, unpopular opinion, the lasagna is overrated.
I don't like the lasagna.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sorry, Toby. I had you for the whole podcast till now.
Love and peace.
All right, we out.
Peace and love.
Love and peace.
Peace. The Not Safe for Sunday podcast was recorded in the loft. You can find us on social media at NSFS Podcast. Audio editing by Spencer Barrowman. Video editing by John Walsh. If you'd like to join us for a Sunday service, you can find us at Conquerors for Christ Church, located at 972 Reed Road in North Dartmouth, Massachusetts.